I think stats are out the window. Regular season's gone. I know we played them recently, and I can just tell you they're a dangerous team. They get behind you, they can make a lot of difference offensively. Um, early picks were really high for them. I think they've fought through some injury bug along the way at different spots and different times. So it's that time of year where you're trying to play best hockey, and if we can be, hopefully, we get back to healthy and feel good about ourselves that way as well.
On Saturday to get some momentum heading into the playoffs. Is it important to get wins and feel good about the way that you're playing before that first playoff series?
Yeah, I mean, I'm selfish. We want to win every game. So, but there's a little bit of both. I mean, you're praying that no one gets dinged up and that you can continue on. And at the same time, you don't want to lose some rhythm for the guys and what's it like inside the room. And at the end of the day, this is such a new season right now. It's the next season that, as much as I appreciate the whole going in, it's a now time, not a what happened.
We'll know this afternoon who the players of the month are in the CCHA, but Evan Murr on defense and Alex Tracy in goal have a very strong chance at getting those awards for the month that they've had. Speak to their effort over the last handful of games.
I think you just saw a pretty good model of consistency along the way. Mersey's, I think everyone sees he's pointed, but I can tell you he's just played a better game all year long. And even I think when you have a freshman year that he had and you're trying to follow that up early, I thought maybe he felt there was a little pressure to do everything at one time. And as the season went on here, I think he's allowed a lot of the game to come to him instead of him enforcing it. So, and then Tracy can't really you can't deny what it's been. Like he just keeps on rolling and doing his thing, and he's smart in deflecting some things that happen in front of him, but he's been really timely, which is such a big moment for a goalie. And the measure of any player or team is consistency, and both of those guys have found the rhythm here.
Now that you've seen Lake Superior State 4 times already this year, does that make it easier or harder coming into a playoff series against a team that you've become very familiar with?
Oh, I mean, I think they're familiar with us and we're familiar with them. It's kind of a throwback amount of times you play each other. So there will be no real punches for each other. I mean, sure, there's some things that after our last series we would like to implement, yeah, and I'm sure they feel the same way versus us. So I just think for us, being a team and making sure that every player's got team value for what we're trying to succeed at, love each other, take care of each other, and put our best foot forward.
Open it up to some questions here. Kevin Dudley, hand raised.
Hey Luke, how much does the proximity of the most recent series kind of impact your preparation? Do you expect that you might get some different stuff for them, or are you able to lean pretty heavily on what you can look back on film wise from 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, I don't think there's much hiding from each other that we can do as far as we all know one another nowadays too, especially with video. There's so much opportunity for guys to see each other. But I think if you went back, history usually repeats itself on some things. So matchup wise, it'll probably be healthy to have a hand on that. And then, stylistically, both teams are really familiar with each other. So they're going to know who their players are and we're going to know who ours are and the matchup. So there's probably no secret out there that really left unturned.
Yeah, Kevin, follow up.
I was just gonna ask, in terms of the home ice, I feel like one thing that isn't talked about as much is the last change, the ability to play the matchups, getting the last change. How much of an advantage is that come this time of year in these biggest games?
I think that home ice advantage and it's meaningful for us. I mean, you start to, possibly, even up there, we're able to put a line change together for a goal for at the end of a period. I think there's a last change factor that matters. We've definitely had a group here that's checked against the other team's best lines and done a pretty darn good job of it all year long. So I think those things are. I also I think when you're in your home team, you just feel like you're just managing more of the tempo and rhythm of the game. You can speed change up, you can slow changes down, you can do what you need to do on that side. So I think it matters for sure for us.
Don Westfall.
Coach, I know it's been a while ago, but I think the oddity that I remember taking away from the arena when Lake State was here in December is both nights they they used the new rule calling for reviews of major penalties and got both of them. For you, I just wonder when you get into that situation, obviously you have people watching games as well upstairs and looking at video as things are going on. Is it more of a gut call when you try to utilize that? Is it like, hey, if we think we're 80% sure, we're going to roll the dice and go with it? Or how do you make those in-game decisions? What do you need to see to say, yeah, we're gonna make that call right now and ask them to review this?
Well, there's some dynamics to it, right? So if it wasn't called, if nothing was called, and you go after a major, it's got to be a 5. It can't be a 2.
Yeah.
There's some of that. I think you want to make sure what it is. We have a radio system. We'll radio in, and Tyson, our director of hockey ops, and the crew underneath will have been scouring video at that point. I think usually on the ice, you got to feel like check that, make sure, like do things ahead of time after you feel and see something, and not to belittle like calls and things, but like there's just sometimes like, man, are they going to have the same angle of video that we just did from the bench? Or are they going to have, I was certain a couple times that we had head contact that would be in our favor, and the review didn't show the angle that maybe we had from the bench or whatever that may be. But there's probably a little bit of gut. There's a little bit of, why wouldn't you? You either want to use it as a timeout because it's a goal against, as you saw Saturday later. I thought Tom used a great challenge with the goal review. If it was wrong, they would have got a timeout out of the whole situation after a goal scored, and if they're right, it comes off the board. So, there's a lot kind of, I think, that goes into it.
Go ahead, Don.
Also, I guess if you could just talk about the weekend on Saturday night for Luke Wilson. It's been an interesting second half of the season, but boy, it's hard not to think about the word resiliency and taking advantage of the opportunity when it presented himself for him on Saturday.
Yeah, good for Luch. Honestly, at the end of the day, like I think he's got 6 goals. I believe 5 of them were after he's been out of the lineup the night before. He's a talented kid. That's he was a great fit for those two on Saturday. I thought he jumped in, did the right amount, didn't overdo it because he's up there. And sometimes it's hard to play with a guy like Pitt and Eyes even at times, and because everyone tries to do too much, and there's only one puck type thing. So his performance was good. I thought we're going to talk about his goals and his points. Like he was out there 5-on-6, and that would be probably one of the first times as a reward he was out there when it turned 5-6, and that's how he played all night. So that was the cookie that he kind of got at the end of it for that opportunity, and it's something that we need. We need that to happen out of our group. If we get the length in our lineup that way, it's all hands on deck in favor for us.
Kevin Dudley.
I want to ask a little more about Evan Murr. We've seen in the past some guys come through here with really big freshman years and then freshman years that bring them a lot of accolades, and then maybe the second year it's not as good or maybe a little bit of a letdown. How impressive is it what Evan's done given what the expectations were and how high those were coming into this season?
Yeah, what do they call it? The sophomore slump. I can tell you just on Mersey, like he works at his game. He's constantly watching individual video. He'll watch it with his partner. Him and Ralphie have been a really good tandem. I do kind of to the comment earlier with Charlie, like I think he probably put some weight on his shoulders that he didn't need to early, that he needed to come, out of a cannon in the beginning of the year, and it probably didn't go that way on the score sheet, although I thought his game was good, and now just the rhythm. Like I just think he hasn't early in the year. I think you would have found him maybe forcing some offensive situations and forcing some pucks through like needles versus like being patient. And he's done a really good job. And I think his demeanor, like if you get to be around Mersey, like it doesn't look like the kid's got very many bad days. He's got a smirk on his face and a hop to his step, and he just continues to come out and work at his craft, and that's not easy, especially when you put that pressure on yourself, and deservingly so. Like I'm couldn't be more happy for the guy that has just kind of stayed steadfast and kept his work ethic up and try to go after it.